Dear student, today also we'll continue to learn the French Revolution, another part. Today you will learn France abolishes monarchy and becomes a republic. That topic. Then about the Jacobin Club, about the newly elected assembly. Then you will know about what is the reign of terror, and also you will be knowing about a directory rules France. So these are the topic that we are going to cover today. Now, France abolishes monarchy and becomes a republic. Rulers of France's neighboring countries were worried about the development in France. The neighboring countries, France was much worried about the development of France as it was involving itself in continuously war. They made plans to send troops to put down the events taking place since 1789. The National Assembly declared war against Prussia and Austria in April 1792. Thousands of volunteers joined the army for the National Assembly. The patriotic song was sung by the volunteers. The patriotic song was the Marseillaise, which was composed by poet Roget. It was sung for the first time by volunteers from Marseilles as they marched to Paris. It later became the national anthem of France. Marseillaise became the national anthem of France later. A large French population was convinced to carry the revolution, and still the Constitution of 1791 gave political right to only to the richest sections of the society. We have already seen about the features of Constitution. So only the richest sections of the society in France got the voting right. That too, only men got the voting right. People used to discuss about the government policies and their own plan of action in political clubs. The most successful of these political clubs were Jacobin Club. The Jacobin Club got the name from convent of Saint Jacobin in Paris. This Jacobins were from one particular convent. Convent means a building belonging to a particular community, that community devoted to the religious life. This community was devoted to the church, Christianity, believers of Jesus Christ. So that particular convent got more power and it had a club in which it got many followers. Now we shall learn about the Jacobin Club. Members of the Jacobin Club belong to mainly to the less prosperous sections of the society. People, those who are very poor, belong to such society. They used to they included mainly the shopkeepers, artisans, cooks, pastry makers, shoemakers, watchmakers, printers and servants. Even the daily wage workers were the members of the Jacobin clubs. Their leaders, the leader of Jacobin club was Maximilien Robespierre. So they dressed differently, not like any other group in the French society. They were wearing a long stripped trousers similar to those worn by the dock workers. It was a way of declaring to end the power held by the wearers of knee breeches. The wearers of knee breeches were the other group of people who belonged to the rich society in France, rich group in France. So, in order to make themselves different from the rich section of the society in France, the Jacobin club members wore different dresses. They came to be known as sans-culottes, meaning people without knee breeches. Sans-culottes men wore a red cap symbolizing the liberty. Now, what was convention? The newly elected assembly in France was called convention. This newly elected assembly was from the Jacobin Club. On 10th August 1792, the Jacobin attacked the palace of the Tuileries with large number of Parisians because of the high prices of food grains, bread, and all the difficulties that they faced. To facing all this problem, they attacked the Tuileries palace. Then they killed the king's guards and held the king for several hours as in hostage. Later, the assembly voted to imprison the royal family, the monarchy family, Louis XVI family. Elections were held afterwards in August 1792, and now all the people above 21 years age were allowed to vote regardless of their wealth. All men 20 years above got the right to vote, whether they had the wealth or do not have the wealth. They have got the right to vote after the newly elected assembly in France. Then the newly elected assembly was called convention. It abolished the monarchy on 21st September 1792 and France was declared as a republic. Louis XVI was sentenced to death by a court. He was tried in the court for the charge of treason and he found guilty for betraying for his own country. Then he was imprisoned and later he was killed also. On 21st January 1793, Louis XVI was executed and killed at the palace of Concorde. Afterwards, his wife Maria Antoinette also was sentenced to death. This was the incident taking place when Jacobin came to rule France, when the republic was established in France to rule, when the election was held to elect the National Assembly, when men of 21 years and above got the right to vote, and the Louis XVI also was imprisoned and later executed, and he was tried in the court for the reason of treason. Treason means betrayal of one's own country. Later he was executed or killed and followed by his wife also killed.